What's
going
good?
on?
What's good? What's good? Back with another episode of Over the Counter podcast. Damn.
Yeah, man.
It's been that kind of week. So
Sweet, man.
already it's just Monday. So yeah, we got a full docket. We're gonna get into it. Um lots to talk about, random different things across the markets, whether it's crypto or stocks.
Hmm.
So I'll go ahead and get into it and not waste any time. Man, let's talk about this upcoming FOMC. Let's go ahead and get that out the way. So that happens on Wednesday this week.
Yeah, Wednesday. Yep.
Um, you got some people expecting rate cuts to happen this meeting. I don't. I really don't. I think they've been a little too hawkish, meaning they've
Mhm.
been pretty aggressive with their overall approach, and I don't really see them kind of tucking tail and starting to cut rates, at least right now. I still expect rate cuts to start maybe towards the end of the year, but definitely not Q2. Definitely not Q2.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't see one coming either. I mean, especially if you look at some of the numbers we've had. The GDP came in at zero point 0.3 Q1 of 2025. We had inflation, PCE rose slightly to 2.6. Then we had unemployment added 177,000 jobs in April. So, I mean,
Which I
things
don't believe, but that's
you know,
been my thing about the
don't
job
believe that?
numbers. It's always the job numbers. For me, it's always the job numbers because if that's the case, like if companies were really hiring at that clip, like why do I still see, for hire signs everywhere?
Yeah.
If they're really hiring at that clip.
Well, I also want to know which they never we talked about before. What are these jobs? What are the companies?
Right.
Which I mean, they don't really add that kind of context, but it with the numbers as they stand, whether they be true or not, I don't think with these numbers that Jerome Powell will be inclined to make any moves. I think he'll sit still just like he's been doing.
Right. I mean, to me, the numbers, if you're just going off these numbers and you're not calling BS on anything, and you're just taking these numbers for face value, it don't look like we hurting.
Uh-uh.
It just don't. It on paper, it don't look like we hurting. Now, what's the reality when you walk outside? Different story. But most of these people, they go based off of these pure numbers anyway, and how they calculate inflation and all these different earning reports and quarterly reports, they're all based off of lagging indicators anyway. So we'll see. That's just my take on it.
Yeah, I mean, how do you expect the markets to react with if we sit still where we currently are? We know Trump will have something to say about it. He says something every chance he gets. So I think we can expect, commentary from him. But how do you expect the markets to react in
I
regards
think
to
the market already has reacted. If you were in the markets today trying to look for trades, you saw what was going on. I mean, it
I
just
got,
it
I didn't even take a trade. It was
bro, I waited all day for one trade.
the market
All day for
moves so slow.
it moves slow, and the moment momentum that you did get, it was towards more so towards the downside, at least for me.
Yeah,
It was more
it
so
did.
towards the
It
downside.
did.
Yeah, so I caught a trade on the Dow, grabbed 86 points, which is good, but again, had to wait all day for that. There's been little to no volume in the markets, which means when there's no volume, things are slow. So opportunities to catch trades are slim to none during times like that. So, I mean, to me, I feel like the market was already low key pricing in what's to be expected on Wednesday, which wasn't a major move, but it was a move nonetheless, and it was in the wrong direction. So, ultimately, the market didn't really like it, but it wasn't just catastrophic to where the markets tanked across the board.
Yeah, I mean, we had a little run pretty much the last 6 days. I'm honestly surprised the markets haven't cooled down more. We didn't really have much of a drop in the stock market, at least well for QQQ. So that would give you an indication of what's going on in the tech sector. But I was going to
Yeah.
ask you, how do you feel in regards to PCE and PCI Do you think that the Fed should be utilizing PCE? Do you think it's accurate in regards to their decision making when it comes to
No,
setting
it
money
never
rate?
is. They and they use PCE because it don't include the things that regular individuals care about. Like, bro, what are
So
y'all even
why do you
looking at?
why is that the indicator of choice for the Fed?
Bro,
And is Trump right in saying that hey, things aren't as bad as you know they're perceived to be? Go ahead and lower those rates.
I don't know. I really don't know. I think Trump is right in some ways, but he's wrong in others. And same with Jerome. He's right in some ways and wrong in others. So the ways that Jerome is right, Trump is wrong in, and the ways that Trump is right, Jerome is wrong in. So to me, you're screwed either way, right? Like if you cut rates too soon, oh, I mean, 2008 all over again, maybe worse, right? If you wait too long to cut rates, fam, I think that's like Great Depression type stuff.
What do you think? How he's been moving? Do you think waiting too long will probably be an issue of his, especially since he, kind of hinted that he thought the first time he lowered it, was too. People said it was a little too early. Do you think he's going to hold on to the rates a little longer than he should?
Oh yeah, that's the conundrum that Jerome is in. He raised rates too soon in some eyes, and he's gonna cut too late. That's just him. But you're also looking at laggard data. You're not looking at real time data. And I don't know exactly how we get to a point where we're looking at real time, but to me, real time data is the conversations that I'm having on the day to day basis with people that span across different walks of life, different backgrounds, that type of stuff. And ultimately, it's all the same. No matter how much money people are making or not making, it's all the same. You know, they're all complaining about the same stuff being too expensive, trying to find deals where they can. And I'm talking about people who make like multiples of six figures. Like them, the type of people that I'm shocked, but unfortunately, it's the reality that are having issues out here in terms of affording certain things or complaining about how much more they're having to pay for things that they're used to paying less for. And then when you take those same conversations and have them with people who work service jobs, whether it's bartending or restaurant or just anything like that, they're having their same complaints,
Mm.
same complaints. So to me, that's my version of real time data, and I don't know how you go about fixing that because I think we're at a point, and this is just my personal opinion, that the game is over. And I think that, and I say that not to be doom and gloom, but I think ultimately with most fiat currencies, we end up here where because it's based on debt and it's based on printing, you eventually get yourself in a hole that you, without manipulating other variables, cannot dig yourself out of. There's absolutely nothing that I think the Fed or the current admin, there's nothing that they could do to influence monetary policy from the current administration perspective or fiscal policy, or maybe I got those flipped. But either way, I don't think either side of the equation can influence monetary or fiscal policy to enough to climb out of this hole without manipulating other variables. That's just my opinion.
So, would you agree that Jerome Powell, his stance on the Fed and his decision making not being based on politics or any of that kind of stuff? Do you think? Because I personally think that you can't have the job of being in control of interest rates and all of that kind of stuff, and I don't think you can separate that from politics. I think they go they go hand in hand. Politics, not necessarily like certain type of politics, like like in regards to a trade war or things
Right.
like those things directly affect what you should be using as a benchmark, for hey, do I need to tighten some things, or I need to loosen some things up, leave them the same. You think that's one of I think because you think that's one of his biggest mistakes is trying to separate his decision making from the current state of politics and what's going on, because you talk about real time data, like really what's going on, and not now, not 3 months ago or 6 months ago. Should he change his stance on not putting politics or what's going on currently in his decision making?
I mean, yeah, but that's very situational. Um, because I think you can get into a situation where you don't want to be reactive to every little bit of news just because your president goes about things unorthodox. Like imagine Jerome changing his policies every time Trump said he was laying down tariffs on a country just for him to turn around and take it back.
Yeah, that yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a bit ridiculous, you know. So in some ways, Jerome is being responsible by not doing that. But on the other hand, he's dealing with a very, at least from a public viewpoint, he's dealing with a very volatile president in terms of his mood and temperament. So I definitely think there should be some adjustments to his decision making, but at the same time, whether I like it or not, I can't sit up here and cap and say that Jerome isn't being responsible because he honestly is. I mean, for somebody to have the keys to the money printer, I mean, okay, but go back 4 years ago, man, you sure didn't have a problem turning that key on when Ukraine needed some money.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm never letting that aspect go. Never letting that aspect go because not at the same time as you tightening, and creating a financial environment where only Uncle Sam is thriving, man, you sure didn't care enough to not print money for Ukraine purposes or at least allocate funds here and there for Ukraine purposes. And that's what another thing that people got to understand: the Federal Reserve, is not a government entity. That is a privately held company, bro. So to have a privately held company issue and control a sovereign government's currency and you know policy around interest rates and stuff, man, and it's been like that, yeah, but like they did that crap under our nose. Because I guarantee you, if people way back in the 1940s or whenever the Federal Reserve was initially established, if they knew exactly what the Federal Reserve was and how it's going to be ran and what they had plans for, that would never happen.
I think the how it's running now, I think it will change drastically once Jerome Powell is out of the way, because I think now Donald Trump will make sure that somebody gets that position that's willing to be more lenient towards his demands. So I think we're going to see a big change, whether that be for the good or bad. But what does he have? He's done in next June.
Yeah, next year, next June 2026.
Yeah. So
I got beef with Jerome for multiple reasons. You know, him and all his banker boys, they, in one way or another, basically discriminated against good acting companies that dealt with crypto and got them debanked and all these other things. They released memos discouraging financial institutions to bank people that deal with crypto or buy crypto or any other type of crypto activity. Releasing memos discouraging banks from even holding crypto assets, even though the comptroller of the currency a couple years prior to that basically said, "Yo, as long as you're using good, risk management practices, you're good to go." So yeah, I got beef with Jerome Powell and all his Baker boys. Um, I would love to see him gone. If we really expect to I guess at least start to dig ourselves out of this hole, bro, crypto got to be accepted like on a wide scale. That is a new asset class with a lot of capital, with a lot of efficiencies that traditional finance just doesn't have. Um,
But
yeah.
you just said that he he's moving responsibly in some aspects. Do you think if Trump has anything to do with the person next in line, will that position be compromised?
It's already compromised. Jerome's position been compromised since he was on board with the Democratic Party.
So you don't think it get any worse?
No, it's just same Coke, different pep, different bottle.
Okay.
Like I may
How long
not
is that
rock with.
term? Do you know how long? I don't know how long that term
I don't
is.
know how long that term is because I remember Jerome Powell being the Fed for as long as
It's been
Biden
8
was
years.
in office. Yeah, well, yeah, it has been 8 years because he was the
Was
Federal
it?
Reserve chair during Trump's first presidency.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
So I don't know then. I mean, to me, and I think that tells you even more. If we didn't even know who Jerome's name was during Trump's first presidency and he was all skittish and stuff, but yet somehow he became famous during Biden's administration, that kind of lets you know he got real active during Biden's admin.
He was nominated by Trump in 2017,
Yeah, I don't know, Trump. You got a bad way of picking people, dog.
and
I
then
don't
Joe.
know.
I guess it's 4 years because he was renominated by Joe Biden in 2021.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
U.S.
I mean,
Senate
regardless.
confirmed the appointment. Yeah. So, whoa, he was nominated by President Barack Obama in 2012 as well.
So yeah, Jerome, it's been time, dog. It's been time.
He gotta
It's
go.
been time. So wait a minute, because
Go.
Obama was during 2008. So Obama's administration basically foresaw us coming out of the aftermath of that financial crisis. So all right, you got that on your belt, and then you got Trump's first presidency, which unfortunately, I was still a college student, but so I couldn't really take advantage. But a lot of people say that's some of the best years coming out of the financial crisis from a
Mhm.
financial perspective. And then you got Biden's administration was absolutely terrible from an economy perspective. Uh, Also, the aftermath of COVID, Trump's first presidency towards the end of it had COVID to deal with as well. So, all right, whatever. You had some sticky waters to kind of navigate, but now we ain't got no COVID and we ain't got no financial crisis.
We got trade war though.
We got a trade war, and eh, eh, you need to get out the way,
Yeah,
dog. That's all I gotta say, man. You good. You had a good ride. You had a good ride.
long ride.
That's all. That's all.
Guess we'll see how that
That's all.
plays out. We'll see how it
Yeah,
plays
we
out.
gonna see. We're gonna see FOMC meeting on Wednesday.
Yep.
Definitely going to be interesting one to keep an eye out for.
Yep.
Um, my opinion, the market's already priced in what's going to happen, but anything can happen on Wednesday. We shall see.
Unless we get a rate cut. The market ain't
And
priced.
hey, if we get a rate cut, then the markets might go crazy,
They will.
like in the upside
Yeah.
to the
That'll be
upside.
that'll be good. That'll be good.
So we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Moving on. While we're in the form or in the realm of government, let's talk about this Genius Act and some of the contention that I've been seeing as of late. So, for those that don't know, the Genius Act is a stablecoin act, or at least an act that is seeking piece of legislature seeking to provide guide rails around the stablecoin markets and overall financial rules, risk management policies, stuff like that for major financial institutions to abide by and essentially make stablecoins like federally recognized. So it's a big deal, big deal. This is not the first stablecoin act. There's been at least two or three more beforehand, but fell short. The Genius Act is it passed the House of Representatives. It's now on the Senate floor. And now all of a sudden you have four Democratic representatives, Democratic senators that were all for the Genius Act. Now all of a sudden they got some issues with it. In my opinion, this is just Democrats and Republicans playing that game where they try and stall anything that makes their opposing president look good, and that's unfortunate because we could really use some stablecoin legislation. I think that would really give the markets the boost that it needs, especially with all the activity related to stablecoins that you're seeing in the markets from market participants. So my issue is that, you were all for it, but now all of a sudden the anti money laundering aspects of the bill ain't hitting right. Now you got issues with foreign how limitations set on foreign issuers of stable coins and several other things. To me, it just sounds like a bunch of BS and a stalling tactic because why weren't these concerns raised at the House level if there was really controversial or there were really any issues? The Senate floor is the last gap, the last stage before it hits the president's desk, and you know Trump is going to sign this
Yeah.
in the play. So yeah, I got issues with Democrats right now.
Well, I mean, we talked about this earlier, them holding things up as a result of, maybe getting the bad side of the stick in regards to other things, especially trade war, a lot of other things we wanted to get into in regards to politics. But we knew they would pose roadblocks in regards to certain regulation, especially anything that I know we did you honestly expect them to do any favors for the Republicans in regards to
No,
crypto?
nah,
So
nah.
I don't think anybody in the crypto space from what they just experienced over the last 4 years is honestly surprised.
No, no, we're used to this at this point, but at a certain point though, it gets old.
Yeah.
Um, and you talking about bringing or helping America, like these politicians, bro, when they get in these rooms and they don't have to adhere to our votes directly, man, they pick and choose them times to show their ass, and right now that's what they're doing. Because I guarantee you, their constituents would, if they actually were educated on some of these acts and these laws and legislative bills, like we should be. I'm pretty sure everybody would be for this. So again, just politics doing a politic thing. I'm not really for it because it definitely hurts the common person more than it helps them. Again, looking at our national debt, looking at how the economy is looking, we need a boost wherever we can get it without necessarily printing more artificial dollars. And I feel like, you know, passing a stablecoin legislation act would be just that. That's just me though.
I think that's not something he can do executive order on, is it?
Yeah, he could, just like
He
he
may,
did an executive order on the Bitcoin
well, he
Reserve
may,
Act.
he may have to.
He might have to. He might, and I wouldn't be mad at him for it.
He may have
And
to.
it's some of this stuff, bro, you gotta get the ball rolling at ASAP. We ain't got time to be playing petty back and forth games. But if you let them, politicians will indeed play those games, and they get hell. They don't care. They getting paid anyway.
Yeah, we know they'll deadlock progress. They've been doing that for a long time. So
Yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see.
So another thing to keep your eye out on. But let's get into these earnings. So we have some major earnings. Couple of them to note are Palantir and Hims. So with that,
Mhm.
I'll just pass it over to you, my brother.
All right, man. For those of you who don't know about him, I'm sure you've heard of it, even if you don't know about him. It's just a direct to consumer telehealth and wellness company. They provide various different things as far as hair loss, medicine, erectile dysfunction, anxiety, weight loss, all of that kind of stuff. They're a subscription based company. And then of course, Palantir, data analytics, software company, very, very big player when it comes to US government and military, healthcare, finance, manufacturing, and their presence in the corporate world has grown significantly. So we'll talk about a little bit about our earnings because those are two companies that I think going into the next 3 to 5 years are set to really shine and set to generate a lot of money and could potentially bring you big returns in the future. Definitely two I have in my portfolio. So Hims, they had earnings today. Revenue came in at 586 million, up 111% year over year. That's amazing. Surpassing analyst expectations of 538.6 million. So that's great. Net income came in at 49.5 million compared to 11 million in Q1 of 2024. So they're printing. They're printing over there, making money. Gross margins 73%, down 82% in Q1 2024. That could be attributed to a number of things. You know, COGS potentially going up. We don't know. I don't know if trade or anything like tariffs or anything like that could have affected them in this first quarter. That may have been a little too soon. We don't know. I will have to dig a little bit into the earnings to see what if they noted what caused that. Listen to the call. I haven't listened to the call yet. Subscribers, 2.4 million, 38% increase year over year. So they're gaining a bigger foothold on that industry. And then their monthly online revenue per subscriber, $84, up 53% year over year. So people gotta be liking the services if they're able to raise their subscription up 53% year over year. So guidance for Q2 projected between 530 million and 550 million. Full year 2025 revenue maintained at 2.3 billion to 2.4 billion. And it was mixed. It was mixed reviews how the market reacted to it. But I think Hims is one of those companies they're building a lot of ground. And I think especially a couple of weeks ago, they were at an amazing price. I bought Hims at $25. And they're currently trading at what? Like it's like 40 something, 41, 40. When I
Oh,
look,
that's a good increase.
yeah, so they're doing okay. And then we're going to Palantir, which was a star player 2024. I'm sure everybody's heard of Palantir. They had a big drop off, but now they've rallied back over $100, I believe. Their revenue came in at 884 million, a 39% increase year over year, exceeding the consensus estimate of 862.8 million. EPS came in at 13 cents, which was in line with expectations. U.S. revenue 628 million, up 55% year over year. Their commercial revenue, which is the variable that people wanted to see, because Palantir has been one of those companies that they had a very big footprint in regards to U.S. government. They got a lot of
Mhm.
contracts from U.S. government. That was their bread and butter, how they made most of their revenue, how they became profitable. But people wanted to see in regards to Palantir's longevity and their growth over the next 5, 10, however many years, can they start to get a bigger foothold and dominate the U.S. commercial sector? And they've done that. They've started to do that. 255 million, a 71% increase year over year. So that's major in 1 year. U.S. government revenue 373, up 45% year over year. So the commercial revenue is starting to catch up to the government revenue. So they're gonna be a big one, man. They're primed for a lot of growth year over year to come. Adjusted operating margin is at 44%. That's okay. Adjusted free cash flow, 370 million, representing a 42% margin of 37 million, 370 million free cash flow. That's always a metric I like to look at when I'm looking at earnings. So that's amazing. Then their guidance for Q2 expected between 934 million and 938 million. Full year raised the range to 3.89 billion to 3.9 billion, up from the previous estimates of 3.74 billion to 3.76. And then their U.S. commercial revenue growth for full year is expected to grow another 68% year over year. So Hims, Palantir, they did good today. And not investing advice. Look into those companies. I definitely think both of those companies will be successful over the next couple of years, assuming nothing crazy happens. But definitely two that I have in my portfolio. Put them on your watch list.
Yeah, no, that's a solid rundown, especially that Palantir.
Palantir's a
That's
beast,
a
man.
that's a giant right there. That's
Yes.
a giant right there. I can definitely foresee if they I could definitely foresee them swaying or having a lot of influence on what is that, the Nasdaq? That's what they're listed on, right? They're on the
Yeah.
Nasdaq.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I could see them having a lot of say so in that index up there with Nvidia and the likes of those in the next couple years.
Yeah, I mean, they're when you think of what the and we talked about this before, what is the major commodity in today's times, and that's data. And
Data's
nobody,
the new gold, bro. I don't
yeah,
care what nobody say. If you have access to a lot of data but you're not leveraging it, you're shooting yourself in the foot.
and that's why you need Palantir, because Palantir there is no one in their lane right now. They're the top. They do it better than anybody when it comes to incorporating AI software in regards to allowing companies to take data and show them inefficiencies where they can improve, where they can do things better, where they can cut costs, where they can do this, that. Palantir is groundbreaking technology, groundbreaking software. They're utilizing AI data and allowing companies to become more efficient to grow their profit margins, their revenues, all the way across the board, man. And then they also getting into the large language models. So with their Palantir AIP or artificial intelligence platform. So Palantir is that's gonna be one of them ones, man. Y'all should have been on Palantir because Palantir went crazy last year.
Hmm.
They're starting to recover now from that big drop they had. But yeah, man, that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite players in the game right now.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. So moving on, I know we talked about it a little bit last pod. At least we touched on it. But we're gonna talk about it a little bit more this pod.
Mhm.
Google, bro, they getting hands and feet put on them. Like, hey, and we might
So
see a giant fall.
answer me this, because you remember when Trump first came into office, we had everybody was paying to play, everybody was going to
Hmm.
pay them a visit up in Mar-a-Lago. Google CEO was one of them. Went out there, donated his million to the inaugural fund, started trying to get close to Trump, and it seems like that hasn't paid off for them because they're not getting shown any leniency.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like let's keep it a dollar. Let's keep it a dollar. Most of these tech billionaires or these people who own tech companies or have large shares in tech companies are Democrats. Like let's keep it a buck. Um, Same thing with X way back in the day, before Elon, majorly swinging on the Democratic side. Whether you agree with them or not, they have certain ideals, especially related to censorship. Once you start talking, and Trump kind of is showing it a little bit here
Mhm.
too, which I don't agree with. But we've seen that depending on which political party is in power, you start talking on points that they don't like you talking about. They start sending them, hey, let me get you what does they call it? Shadow banned. Let me get you shadow banned real quick. Don't even know you banned, but hey, because we can't outright ban you. But or they could. They can come up with some BS rule that you breaking, which we saw them do that during the height of the pandemic. Bro, you talked about COVID in the wrong way, you was getting shadow banned or you got straight up banned, depending on the severity of it. Did I agree with that? Hell no, I didn't agree with that. For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Because of what we found out later, which some people already knew. Some doctors were speaking on it, but we ain't got to get into that. Same thing with today.
Look at Harvard.
Uh Right. Well, Harvard is a little different. I
They're
don't think
they're,
any.
they're
I don't
allowing
think.
they're allowing. I guess you can say that you can't necessarily say that the school itself is indoctrinating students by allowing free speech and allowing people that attend these universities to, openly speak and, promote their ideals or beliefs.
Okay, let's rewind back to when we was in school. How many times at that campus did you see a conservative speaker get ran off that campus?
But but was that university though? I
Nah,
can't
player.
blame the
Nah,
university.
nah, player. You can blame the university because which speakers did you not see get ran off campus?
But if you can't prove that the university is showing preference, you're telling the university to not be inclusive?
No, you can prove that they're showing preference because again, if it's truly free speech, bro, there were plenty of conservatives that went to the same school we did, that walked, that we shared, that we sat right next to, and that's totally fine. It's totally fine. But did you ever have a conversation with any of those conservatives, or did you have conversations with a lot of fake liberals?
Yeah, but I mean,
All right, then.
but
That's my point.
but
That's
is
my
that is
point,
that is
though.
that the university or is that political
Yes,
landscape
because
or is that political
you're
landscape that's
allowing.
acceptable?
No, sir. No, sir. It was not acceptable, especially when the tail end of our college career. Who was in office? Trump. Trump was in office when we graduated. So my thing is this: Trump, and I'm pretty sure some smart lawyers can basically say, yeah, you are perpetuating the lack of free speech because you're allowing for the environment to be created to that does not allow multiple viewpoints to be expressed freely without prejudice, without discrimination. Bro, I can personally say that's the thing, bro. When I was in school, and most of my friends till this day that I met in college, we all leaned more so on the Democratic side. Imma keep it a bean, right? Like, I was all with a lot of them viewpoints that today sound absolutely insane.
So you was drinking the Kool-Aid.
I drunk the Kool-Aid. I'm not even gonna BS. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. I drank the Kool-Aid, especially
You
in that environment.
so you think the environment that you were in played a role. So let me ask you this. You personally, did the university environment, do you think it influenced your thinking in regards
It
to politics?
influenced it, and it also ultimately controlled it. It wasn't until I saw the real world for myself and started having some different type of conversations with like my pops and people that I trusted in that to that degree to where my eyes really opened up. And then I had kids.
Yeah,
That's when it was like, oh hell no,
yeah.
um
Had
y'all
kids,
tripping.
start making
Yeah,
some
y'all
money.
tripping. Right, y'all
Yeah,
tripping. Y'all tripping, bro. Y'all
yeah,
tripping. It took me that first year out of school to make six figures and saw that they wanted half.
yeah,
Nah, player.
yeah.
Nah, player. Nah, something got to change. Something got to change. And that's just the reality. Now, I'm still cool with a lot of my friends that share those ideals. And that's fine. That's totally fine. I don't care if your ideals are different. But I do see the correlation between college campuses and liberal indoctrination. I do indeed see that. Now, do I think it's mad easy for the university to say like, oh no, no, all are welcome. But when you actually go and look or you think back to your experiences on campus, bro, them conservative speakers got ran off campus every single time. Hell, you held a Bible and you started spitting Bible verses, they was running you off campus. So yeah, like
Yeah, I
I'ma
could
just
agree with
keep it a
that too.
bean.
Yeah. Hate
Fam, you
I hate to
know
say
it.
you're right, but
You
now
know it.
yeah, because I mean, it would. I seen where, when it comes to talking religion, oh no, we can't talk about that. But if somebody happened to be LGBTQ, we can talk about that all day. Or you got to be inclusive to this, and nobody care if you're inclusive to this part. And yeah, I just hate to blame the university as a collective based on the student body or the
They foster that mindset, bro. They quite literally create the environment for that type of thinking to be born.
My favorite teacher in
Your
college was a
teachers,
Republican.
right? But your Republican or conservative teachers shut the hell up. They don't say nothing because they're outnumbered on those campuses. I had two conservative teachers that I didn't even know were conservative until the damn near last day in class.
Yeah.
And they'll straight up, especially if you get close to them and you go to the office hours, stuff like that. You get to know these teachers on a more personal level, these professors on a more personal level, and a lot of them would tell me that they shut the hell up because they know that they would be discriminated against. But if they were like of everyone else, it wouldn't be no issue. And then they didn't experience issues because they were just assumed to be like everyone else. That's why I asked you, did you have conversations with real conservatives or fake liberals? Because I
Nah,
guarantee you
she
we
was a
had.
real she was a
Well,
real
yeah,
one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
She was
yeah.
yeah. I'm pretty sure these professors were, but I'm talking about like of the student body. I'm pretty sure you had more
I don't remember
conversations with
talking
fake
to real
liberals.
I don't really remember talking to any conservatives when I was in college. But you also got to remember it came at a time where being now I won't even say a Trump supporter, but you gotta remember what was going on at that time. We were having a lot of police shootings, and we're having this go on and that
Yeah,
go on,
but it's funny
and,
how that's
they kinda had to
automatically.
be closeted at a time because it was like, damn, you gonna get
I get you. I get you. And I definitely
yeah,
remember that it being
yeah,
like that. But I mean, this is my thing though. It's funny how everything racial gets automatically pinned on conservatives.
yeah.
Like what's when we're in reality,
And you already know I
you
know.
thinking, hey, you
You already
thinking
know I know.
that I don't know how to work a computer? I'm talking to you, Democrats.
Yeah.
That's racist as hell.
Thought I forgot the history.
Like, come on,
We
dog.
ain't gotta get
I
into all the
remember what
policies
would
they
happen if
passed.
I go up north. I remember what would happen back in the day if I were to go up north. Nah, you not like the Southerners I just came from. You not in my face with it. You play it, you a little sneaky with it. And if I'm being real with you, I'd rather go deal with the people that I know it is what it is
Yeah,
than to be sitting up here, you smiling in my face, but you talking a different tune
yeah.
when I'm not in the same room. I'm
Offer me
cool on that.
offer me the olive branch, then hit me with the Kanye, "Gotcha,
Yeah, the
gotcha."
gotcha. The gotcha? Nah, bruh. Nah, 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 nah. So
Yeah,
I don't want to hear that rhetoric of oh nah, racism and slavery didn't exist up north. Man, hey, same Pepsi, different bottle player. That's all I gotta say. That's all
I
I
wanna
gotta say. But yeah,
shout out to OSU because my senior year, it was crazy to me. My senior year, granted, he wasn't American. I think he was from the UK. We talked heavily, and he knew his history about the Black Wall Street massacre, and we talked about that heavily in class. And he made sure to teach that and teach what really happened, the real story. So shout out to OSU because that's actually dope. That's something that up until that point, you know, Black history things that
yeah.
a lot of the real stuff that went on that don't get talked about in schools had never been talked about up until that point. So that was dope.
I hate that you had to wait till college and
My last
somebody
class,
not even from the
yeah,
United States had to teach you. But for me, it was back at Booker T in high school. Shout out to
uh,
Dr. Anthony
yeah,
L. Marshall. You know what I'm saying? The best history teacher known to man. He was one of them ones that wasn't you couldn't pass his class if you didn't know the real history. That's all.
yeah.
That's all I gotta say. So with that, man, we're gonna move on. We're gonna move on
Yeah,
because
we
I
ain't
don't
even
even
talk
know.
about
I don't
Google at
even
all.
like that ain't even on the docket, bro. I don't even know how
We
we
ain't
got
even
on that.
talk about Google at all.
Uh
But Google, man.
Google, dog.
Google. Google. Let's just give you a little background. Originally, this case was brought forth in August of 2024. U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta ruled that Google violated antitrust laws by maintaining an illegal monopoly in the online search market. The DOJ argued that the Google's exclusive agreements with companies like Apple, which set Google as the default search engine on devices, suppressed competition and harmed consumers. I think that's bull because if you ask any consumer, ask anybody, Google is the preference. I don't want to use Chrome. I don't want to use Firefox. I don't want to use it's a whole Google it. People want to you could take them away and people will probably go back in the settings and set them as the preference. Do you blame Google and say they're running a monopoly for that?
For search. Well, first off,
For
Chrome is
paying
part of
to be the default setting on iPhones and other things.
wait, Google is the defaults. They're paying to be the default setting.
Yeah, they established a deal with Apple.
Do you blame people for that?
No, do you blame Google? Do you say that is that bad that they
Oh, oh,
is that
yeah.
monopolistic?
I do kind of think that's
Ah,
monopolistic.
how?
I do. And it's not even just Google. In this particular context, it's not even just Google. Apple got a hand in that too. Fam, you already control the whole ecosystem.
But you're giving the consumers what they want.
Not necessarily.
What search
Not
engine have we
necessarily.
been using since we've been on computers?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's all we know.
I get it. I get it. I get it. But then when you become educated on how your data is being used and abstracted from you,
Mm.
a lot of people stop using Google. They start using alternatives. So it's not that people wouldn't choose the alternative because Google is better. It's honestly because they don't know that there are alternatives. Most people don't know what DuckDuckGo is. A lot of people don't know that even though you flip on to a private tab and go incognito in Chrome, fam, they're still tracking you.
Well, let me ask you this, because you're tech savvy, that wouldn't be an excuse for someone like you. What is your preferred go-to search engine?
It's definitely not Google.
Who is it?
DuckDuckGo,
I
mainly
ain't never
because I'm
heard
not
no
being tracked.
DuckDuckGo, I ain't
I'm
gonna
not
lie.
I'm not being tracked. I'm not being tracked. It's the same thing as Google, except I'm just not being tracked. There's several other ones.
Interesting.
Data
So
privacy, and this is so crazy how we have finally gotten to this. And I said this years ago when social media first started getting becoming a thing. So everybody being in your business was a luxury when social media came about. I saw this in like when I first started I think I made my Facebook or something in like 2010, 2009. Same year I made my Twitter. I think I said it on Facebook long time ago that one day privacy will be the new luxury.
the
And here
day's
we
today.
are.
The day's
Here we
today.
are. Because if you can control who has access to your data, how your data is being used, that is the luxury. Most people don't know how their data is being used and how they're being tracked every step of the way.
So Apple need to be a Cody in this case, because I can't even
Yeah.
talk on my iPhone without ads coming up.
Right. Right. And they're listening to you, they're tracking you. Have you not noticed every so often when you launch a new app or whatever, it pops up that thing, ask not to track or
Yeah.
allow? I hit ask not to track every single time, and I guarantee you they still tracking you.
Well, that would be the thing, because if they put it in they ask and you say no and it don't, then okay. But if you say no and there's proof that it still occurs,
Guarantee you they still tracking.
diabolical.
Bro, you because you get the money is in the data. The money is in the data. And with Google and Apple combined, bro, you got access to
Everybody.
petabytes worth of data.
So divestiture of Chrome, is that the answer, or will another major tech company just come in and buy it?
I mean, honestly, I don't know. Chrome is a browser which again, incognito mode tracks all every single move, even when in private browsers. Uh, I mean, hell, the safest way is to just download it or pay for a VPN, but people ain't gonna do that. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't think that necessarily solves the problem because are they still gonna have access to the back end servers? What about the
Yeah.
backups? I'm sure I'm pretty sure Google has a very comprehensive layover
Well,
plan,
there's
disaster recovery plan. So
they're okay. So these are proposed remedies, since you bring that up. The first one is the divestiture of Chrome. The second one is ending default search agreements, i.e., with companies like Apple, allowing them to be the default search engine on devices and browsers. And the last is data sharing, mandating that Google share certain data with competitors to level the playing field. That's gonna be the one that get them the
Ooh.
most.
Yeah, but as the
That's
consumer, I don't even know if I
diabolical.
rock with that, dog.
Now everybody got it, not just Google.
Yeah, but this is the thing. Everybody already got it. The difference is now you telling me everybody got it.
But I thought Apple was widely known and championed and celebrated for being the company that protects data, not turning over the data.
Certain types of data, yeah. Certain types, yeah. But what do you think Apple's using that data for? Like, yeah, they may be protecting it, but Apple still has access to certain pieces of data. Now, the only data that they don't have access to, which from a technical definition, they shouldn't, is your biometric data, Face ID, Touch ID. It gets stored in a separate piece of the hardware, which is cut off from everything else, all software as well. And it's only accessed when it's called on specifically to perform its own function, which is to authenticate either through your face, biometric data, or your thumbprint or fingerprint biometric data. That is the concept of TEEs, which is stands for Trusted Execution Environments. They've been a thing for years, but that's how they're used today. Um, Now, if there was somehow a way to backdoor into that and Apple had access to your biometric data, yeah, we got a serious problem on our hands. But that's really the data that and like text messages. If someone passes away and you don't have their lock code or their Apple ID code, you're not getting it. Even if you call Apple. I mean, it took me like 2 years after my sister passed away to finally get into her phone, and
Uh,
I had to just randomly found her password in her journal somewhere and was able to get into it. But when I called Apple at first, told them, "Hey, sister passed away. Here's her death certificate. Yada yada yada." It was like, "Nah,
Protecting
if
that
you
data
wouldn't,
is
if you wouldn't set up beforehand to be the person that we hand over all this information to in the case of a death, we can't help you."
yeah. The only reason I don't like these proposed remedies is for the simple fact that once you get to talking about ending agreements and data sharing, okay, what precedents are you setting? If a company like a ChatGPT wanted to form an agreement with Apple, can't do that. It's monopolistic. If you it, so, are you saying that
Specifically around data sharing, though.
okay, but there's a lot of data in regards to a large language model.
Yeah, which is why it was such a controversial thing for Apple, despite its position on privacy, teamed up with ChatGPT to develop Apple Intelligence.
So I'm
Like,
saying, at what point, where's the line going to be drawn between what's a monopolistic agreement and what's not? If two massive names, two of the biggest players link up, that's monopoly.
yeah,
So we ending no more partnerships, no more agreements, no more
it ain't
coming.
even partnerships. I think it's just how you structure your partnership. Like, fam, you partnering with, well, let's just stick with that example, but Apple partnering with a Chat GPT to make them the default large language model, that's monopolistic, especially when you got Gemini, you got
My
Grok, you got all these other language models.
my thing is they had the same. If I'm Sam, they had the same opportunities I had to go to Apple and propose.
No, they did not,
How come they don't?
bro. Because I made Tim. I forget the man's name who's over Google, but I may have a relationship with Sam Altman that I don't have with Elon
That's
or
business.
whoever.
That's
No, it's
life.
not. No, it's not, bro. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's called conflict of interest. Come on.
Is it also conflict of interest
We
if you
just
have
talked
the
about
best
insider
product?
trading last
Is
week,
it
dog.
but
Come
is it
on.
also conflict of interest if you actually have the best product? Just because we have a relationship, I can't team up with you when you have the best product
Then
that I
I shouldn't be the one in the room to ink the deal then. And I shouldn't be anywhere near y'all whatever department link up with y'all. I shouldn't be anywhere near the deal then. You know at that level they are. But yeah,
I
there's
don't know, bro.
loopholes,
It's
but
just
at the same time, I just think this is going to make companies rethink how they structure their partnerships. Like for another one that we'll talk about pretty soon, coming up on the docket. But um yeah, like I don't think this is the end of partnerships. I just think like certain, especially a company like Apple with their user base, fam, you can't make Chat GPT the default LLM. You can't make Google the default search engine. Like
e-
you
even
have
if
to,
even if that's what the masses want.
then I need to be able to select that during my phone
Okay.
setup process. You
Okay.
need to make them all available and allow me to choose. Don't just take me through all this setup in the settings. You ask me questions on my preference on everything else, but the large language model that I'm using, but the search engine that I'm using,
Yeah.
yeah, that's monopolist. Yeah, yeah.
That's I mean, okay, then that's gonna change the entire landscape of the dominance and the performance in regards to revenues, stock prices, in regards to that's gonna change the whole tech sector as we know it.
Yeah, then that means it's just going to be more competitive. That's what I like. I like that. Let the market actually choose. That is the definition of free market, bro. We live in an illusion of free market. Like, yeah, Apple is killing it, but why is Apple killing it? Why wouldn't people buy an Android? Because when you talk to people who have had Apple products or an iPhone for an extended period of time, they're afraid to switch.
We don't want them green bubbles. That's why.
It don't
Yeah,
matter
green
because
bubbles.
I see read receipts, I see emojis, all types of stuff the same now.
Yeah.
We talk to Mike just fine now. You feel me? So
I see what you're
so
saying.
why
I see
you
what you're
got to
saying.
start looking at why they're dominating. Because for a minute, hell, Apple is monopolistic in so many ways. But you want to talk about green versus blue bubbles? I mean, in my opinion, that's monopolistic. Not allowing your device to communicate the same way as it would with, hold on.
Ah,
Let it communicate the same way as it would with other Apple devices, other devices that are in your ecosystem. With Android devices,
we can't differentiate yo product from ours. We gotta
which
open up.
which
We
which
gotta.
they have,
We have to
which
open up our. We have to open up our ecosystem and make it easy to integrate with the comps with the comp.
no, that's not what they ultimately did. What they were doing, they were actively discouraging and shunning basically that whole other ecosystem
Yeah.
from iPhone and Apple users. So ultimately, when RCS rich, I forget what it stands for, but RCS is the standard that Google and Android phones operate in. That Apple had to eventually integrate with because that's what iMessage was essentially built on off of. So you no longer had an excuse talking about the chat or message experience is just way better on Apple. It was way better on Apple because you purposely discouraged and discriminated an entire other ecosystem. Purposely, you purposely put in shackles and chains on another ecosystem to give the illusion that yours was better. That's monopoly, dog. That's monopoly. What do you mean? What do you mean I can't video call any other device besides Apple iPhones? Yeah, they invented FaceTime for mobile devices, absolutely. But when you got Google Meets, you got other video calling services, man, like after a certain point, it looks monopolistic. What do you mean I can't do the same thing with an Android? I can't FaceTime an Android without downloading another app. Now you can share a FaceTime link and it's the same service, right? It's just little things that Apple just refused to do to continue that illusion. Now I got iPhone, I got Apple everything. I'm just simply saying when you step back and look, Apple does a lot of monopolistic things. So speaking of
Yeah.
Apple, they finally allowing crypto payments outside the Apple store. I don't know if that's a hint towards, yeah, we got our wallet coming, but not too long ago, they weren't allowing Apple or Apple was not allowing crypto payments outside of the Apple store because they could not enact their 30% fee. So apps like Trust Wallet and several other apps, crypto wallets had to remove their app browser, in-app browser, and that basically made those wallets useless. So I don't know how MetaMask been getting away with it all these years, and I don't know how Bifrost Wallet and some of these other wallets were getting around that. But the only one that I really know about that was directly impacted was Trust Wallet, but shouldn't be anymore. But to me, this just kind of shows that Apple is pivoting more towards the crypto way, and I would not be surprised if they release some update pretty soon within the next 6 months to a year, updating their current wallet app to include crypto support. Wouldn't be shocked.
So Apple does it successfully and user friendly and incorporates all of the features that people like in their favorite wallets now. do you think that is RIP for all of these other wallets?
No, because Apple's wallet won't be non-custodial. They'll have your keys,
That's important.
and that's important to know.
Yeah.
I would only use Apple's wallet for quick payments. Like, hey, you got to pay me real quick in stable coins, or you got to send me some bread real quick. All right, cool. But as far as long-term storage of any asset, hell no.
What if they have it set up to where you have your own keys?
I don't know. I don't know. Is it saved in my keychain? Is it how is it created? If it's something like Oxenflow, which is another wallet that's only supports iOS right now, is currently being built by an ecosystem partner within a different blockchain and somebody that I've kind of started growing a relationship with. If it's anything like that, okay, cool, maybe.
I, I,
But
could-
if it
I could definitely see Apple making something like a ledger or something like that that
right,
connects to your phone where you have your own physical keys, but it shows balances in your and you can make transactions. That would
yeah.
be dope. That would be I
I mean
could see that would be dope.
that yeah, no, that would be an opportunity to extend their product line. But for those who are more so for DeFi purposes and like those more active with their assets, it would definitely have to be a hot wallet, which is mobile based. I can see Apple selling an extension like a hard wallet extension for like those higher tier security. And they'll promote it, they'll promote security and this, that, and the third, but I see that for more power user type thing. But for the regular everyday Joe, it's gonna be on their phone. And that's something I wouldn't trust. If Apple's generating my keys, they're storing it for safekeeping, that type of stuff, I'd me personally, I'd have a hard time trusting
You
it. And that's
wouldn't
just
trust
because of what
you
I
wouldn't
know.
be you wouldn't trust Apple as being a custodian?
Hell no. I wouldn't trust any of these companies to be a custodian. No.
So, all right, I already know how you feel in regards to that, but do you honestly think that Apple would jeopardize their long-standing, you know, do you think they would jeopardize being known as one of these companies that's always protected data and jeopardize that by playing around with people's assets in that way?
No, I'm sure they would have safeguards, but I'm not gonna be the one to find out.
I feel that. I feel that. Yeah,
I'm sure they have something, but I ain't gonna be the one to test
yeah,
it. Not with
yeah.
mine.
I can do that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, no, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Moving on. While we talk,
Yeah.
hopping back on the partnerships, Kraken, a major tier one exchange in the United States, has partnered with Flare in some ways, Flare Networks, to offer a solid and seamless on and off ramp for their latest edition of USDT Zero on chain. So this is major. This is huge, 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 huge. And a lot of people won't understand this, but let me break it down for you a little bit. So major piece to all of crypto, whether you're taking profits or entering an ecosystem, you need easy ways to exit and enter blockchain, right? Um, and that's what Kraken is doing. That's what a lot of these exchanges should be for. But Kraken is really taking a major leap in really, showing the way. So with this integration, you'll be able to send and receive stablecoins seamlessly to and from Flare all through the Kraken exchange. Uh, you can spend it, do whatever you like, take profit, whatever. In USDT Zero, which is a stablecoin built and developed by Tether, the main parent company of USDT. So they just kind of revamped their USDT token to support multiple chains under a simplified protocol. And Kraken is allowing seamless, intuitive on and off ramps for that stablecoin into blockchain ecosystems and out of blockchain ecosystems. So it's pretty major. I expect to see some crazy growth and adoption for any chain, honestly, that's supporting USDT, not let alone the USDT zero variant. And Kraken is definitely positioned itself to get in on that action. They get paid through fees. Whether you're buying, you're selling an asset, that's a service somebody is performing behind the scenes, and you gotta pay to play. So they definitely make bread on on fees, and I believe they push $85 million worth of USDT a day
Mm,
flows through their platform. So multiply that by whatever fee tier they charge for USDT zero. They're making some bread. Kraken is definitely making some bread.
that's crazy.
Yeah, more to
I didn't
come
know
on
they,
that.
I
More to
didn't know they
come.
had that much flowing through there.
Bro, Kraken is definitely one of those tier one exchanges. Kraken was the first exchange that I ever bought an asset on, and then I swapped over to Coinbase, and then I used like Uphold, Binance US, Bitrue, stuff like that. Some of those have fallen since my crypto journey started, so I
Mhm.
have kind of dwindled my on and off ramps down to Coinbase, Kraken, and Uphold.
Uphold came through clutch with the XRP situation.
Oh yeah. And I think nah, Kraken didn't. Yeah, Uphold was the only one. Uphold was the only real one during that whole situation.
Mhm.
So Uphold will always have my respect from a United States standpoint, even though they charge the most in fees. So they're my last choice at the moment.
That's the monopoly, man. We the only one got it. Got to pay that.
Gotta pay that. I get it, but you're not the monopoly now because everybody got
Yeah,
XRP again. So
yeah.
so there's
But
that.
besides that, man, tomorrow we got earnings from Intel and AMD. Two massive, massive disappointments in the stock market as of late. So, we'll see if they can turn anything around in regards to that. But that's all I got, man. Today, that's all we got on the docket for today, man.
I got one last thing.
Oh yeah, what
One
you got?
last thing.
Yeah.
I got one last thing, and I posted on my Instagram. So if you're not following me, you honestly missing out. There is a up and coming project that I had the honor of discussing or having a quick conversation with the developers of called 2DeFi. Now, this is a groundbreaking application. Its whole purpose, it uses AI agents, decentralized AI agents, on chain that assist you in creating a personalized portfolio or personalized strategy around entering DeFi or decentralized finance applications. And the kicker is they utilize, if you have it, they utilize your current traditional finance portfolio to help suggest plays in the decentralized world. So the demo that I got, you basically say you got Robinhood, E Trade, wherever you may have your stocks. You take a screenshot of your portfolio, you upload it to this application. This application uses multiple LLMs. It uses Grok. No. I'm sorry. It uses Gemini for image processing, and then it uses ChatGPT and Gemini's contextual models to come to a consensus behind the scenes. And then what it basically does is it spits out a whole strategy for uh, what matches your risk profile, your risk management, uh, guardrails, things of that nature, based on your traditional finance portfolio. And it will basically take your traditional finance portfolio and suggest similar plays in DeFi, all from a screenshot. So it makes getting into DeFi for those who may not know what that is or where to even start, it makes it so much simpler. And if you follow me on Instagram, I posted the link for you to go out and get put on the watch list or the wait list because a little birdie told me they may or may not be paying people to test their product pretty soon. So definitely might be something that you might want to look into.
Ain't
You
got to
feel me?
tell me twice. Go
You
ahead
feel
and
me?
down with that link ski. I didn't even know
Yes,
about it.
sir. Yes,
Sure.
sir. Yes, sir. So for people like you who have a traditional finance portfolio, I
Mhm.
think it would be nice to see how it suggests similar plays in the DeFi space. Um, I've definitely given them some suggestions on how to improve potentially, but I want to see how this alpha release works. I want to see how it scales. Very interested in this project. So these developers won first prize in the Google Cloud and Flare AI hackathon. Like this idea took first prize. So when you see it, I mean, they took first prize for a reason. When you talk to them, man, there's some young, bright developers. And I wish blockchain and artificial intelligence was part of the curriculum when I was in school, because this is what I would have taken. But that's the name of the game when it comes to evolution. So unfortunately, that's just how it is. But yeah, bro. Yeah. No, this is one of them ones.
Hey man,
This is one of them ones.
I'm already sold. I heard enough.
So that's really it, man. Wanted to leave y'all with some alpha. Uh, that link is out there. It's on my page. If you follow me, man, go
What's
check
the
it
Insta?
out.
What's the Instagram? Let them know the
The
Instagram.
Instagram that I posted it on is my ace.flr Instagram. It is not on my AFHD Instagram. It's on my ace.flr Instagram. Mainly because I posted on that because more people follow me on that. More people that kind of actually know me follow me on that. So
Mhm.
yeah, go get that. Go get that.
There you have it.
But yeah, that's it, man. That's the docket for the day. Yeah. Keep your head on the swivel, stay alert at all times, never know what's going on in this economy, let alone the markets. And we'll catch you in the next one.
See y'all later, man.
Peace.